Okay, so today is Thursday, January 30th, 2025, and welcome to this edition of CTT. Now, if you follow this channel regularly, thank you, by the way, you would know that CTT stands for Car Talk Thursday. And if I'm not recording the Thursday video in my car, I will call it RTT for Room Talk Thursday. So you might be wondering, why is this CTT if I'm clearly in a room and this is not a room I regularly record in, so where the fuck am I? The answer to that hypothetical audience is the C stands for California, because for the next month-ish, I'm gonna be here in Los Angeles. This is a California Talk Thursday. I think I had mentioned in a previous Thursday video, maybe a couple of them, that my understanding was from about mid-February to mid-March, I was going to be here in LA doing some work because my boss was going to be out of the country, so I was going to be here on the ground in the office. But just because this week in particular, there were a lot of in-person trials and hearings going on, it's like, we're kind of going to need you here now, and since you were going to be flown in a couple weeks anyways, you might as well just go ahead and stay. And like that makes sense. It was pretty short notice, and it's just, sometimes that is the nature of the beast when it comes to law, when, things kind of start piling up and things get moved. It's like, well, it's getting moved here, and because this is now here, it conflicts with it happens. So I've had I'll be honest, a very overwhelming few days. But now here, yesterday was my first full physical day at work, and honestly it went really well. I thought it was great. Hopefully that trend continues. But yeah, I'm gonna be here in LA for a month. It's interesting. I miss my cat. I can say that for sure. I very much miss my Baba. I just, throughout January, I never really slept in my own bed. It was just a lot of at this point I'm snowed in at this place, so I can't really go home. And then also just, I have an early start to my shift, so let me go ahead and kind of be in the place where I work rather than home. And also now it's cool, I'm just not gonna be home for all of February, which sucks because I really wanted to watch the Super Bowl with my dad just because he's a big Chiefs fan. But I'd be lying though if I said I wasn't kind of excited for this, because this is super neat and it is a new opportunity. I just recorded my video on Seconds. I'll talk briefly about it here in a second, just kind of going over the week of January in review and shit. But it has that theme, at least to me, of not just don't regret your past, but also, you kind of gotta live in the present. Make the most of the opportunities that you have and as they come. And this is a big opportunity, and I'm excited to make the most of it, I also have quite a few friends that live in the area. I'm gonna hang out with one of my really good friends from law school Saturday. Hit up another friend to see if she's available. I think she said she's leaving in March, so this might be the last time I'm able to see her for a while, and that would be really fun. Hopefully the three of us can get together and go to the Boiling Crab or something. I've got another good friend from law school who I don't remember, he's either really Southern California or he's in Arizona. I don't quite remember which. And I know he's married to his law school sweetheart, and I helped hook them up, by the way. I take a lot of pride in that one. And he now has a son, so we've been talking for quite a bit, the last few years, dude, you need to come out here sometime. You need to come out here sometime. I'm here now, I gotta go see him. I've talked about how I have a friend who's incarcerated, and he's only a couple hours away. At some point, I need to go make sure I see him. I have my second family, and I call them that because I've known them since I was 5, 6. They're the parents are my other mom and dad, and their sons are my brothers, and I would love to be able to see them while I'm here. That's kind of the week. a lot of it was just like work, preparing to move, trying to function. That's the only other thing to say is just talking about football. And then, as I said, I'll get to the January in review part. I mean, I guess I read seconds on the plane, but I don't know. Like, we'll keep that in the review second. I think that works fine. Chiefs-Eagles, round 2. And it's really neat, to me personally, and I know a lot of people are really pissed to see this combination, and I'm not going to say I blame them, but I do think it's kind of neat to get a Super Bowl rematch, even if it's not the year after. Like, the Eagles took a year off because, I don't know what the fuck happened to them late last year. They just kind of broke. And then they got their groove back, and a lot of that was getting Saquon. Saquon's an absolute monster. He's not going to win MVP, but he really should, or at least should make it interesting. Like, personally, I thought CMC should have won it last year. And if it is between a quarterback, or if it's a quarterback-only award, I think last year I was thinking more Josh Allen. And this year, I would go Saquon. But if you have to give it to a QB, I would probably go Lamar over, Allen. It's been kind of a weird year like that, where I'm like, well, Lamar won it the year that I thought Allen should have won it. So this year, I kind of hope Allen wins it to, kind of make everything balanced. But personally, I think I'm a little more impressed by Lamar. And, when you look at the numbers, his numbers are better. But anyways, point. It is Chiefs-Eagles. And like I had said last week, I don't really have any beef with Philly, but I am rooting for Kansas City. And like I've said, my dad is a Chiefs fan. Of course I want to see his team win. I want to see my dad happy. I got him a Chris Jones jersey for Christmas. I was going to get him a Mahomes jersey. He's like, look, it's not that I have any beef with Mahomes. That's a nice jersey. Chris Jones is my guy. I want a Chris Jones jersey. I got you. And he wore it for the AFC Championship, which he might have tried it on beforehand, but this is the first time, he wore it. And it's so funny because my dad for years has been like, I don't get the idea of a jersey. Why would I wear someone else's shirts? That's weird. But he was just beaming when he was wearing his Chris Jones jersey. It was honestly kind of precious. But yeah, it's I was saying, I have no beef against the Eagles, but this is my dad's team. I hope they win. I think watching a Super Bowl three-peat, which has literally never happened, although 3 championships in a row have happened, it has happened in the Super Bowl era, because like I said last week, the Packers won the first 2 Super Bowls and then won the title the year before, so technically 3 straight Super Bowls have never happened, but a three-peat has happened in the Super Bowl era. I'm that kind of guy. I'm wearing my glasses. I have to be the, actually, but we have never, in my lifetime, 3 consecutive chips has never happened, and 3 consecutive Super Bowls has never happened. I think that would be neat to watch, and like I was saying, to me, if you engage in good faith, it really makes the Mahomes-Brady debate a lot more interesting. Yes, Brady has more rings. Yes, 2 of those rings resulted from head-to-heads against Mahomes. 1 in the AFC Championship and 1 in the Super Bowl. However, it's a team sport. You can make the argument that, and look, I'm not trying to shit on Brady right now, I'm genuinely not, but I'm just saying that it's you can make the argument of the team may have been, Brady's teams may have been better, but in that season, was he really playing better than Mahomes? In that game, was he playing better than Mahomes? There's the numbers, but there's also the eye test. And I think both of those are very important. I think now Mahomes' second all-time in playoff wins, at least by a quarterback. I don't know what it is for players in general. Kelsey obviously would have more than Mahomes. But that's wild. He just passed Joe Montana. And if he wins this Super Bowl, now he's got 4 rings. That ties him for second in rings with Montana and Bradshaw. Is there anyone else that has 4? Off the top of my head, no. Again, at least thinking in terms of quarterbacks. That's interesting. And yes, 7 is more than 4. Again, with some of those being head-to-head. But Brady never won MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season. Mahomes did. Brady never did a Super Bowl three-peat. Mahomes might just do that. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't. It's like, part of the interesting bits of this argument don't come to pass. But if he does, like, this is getting more interesting now. And I just genuinely, I think that's neat. As someone who, you can always make the arguments, like, as someone who loves football, you should fucking hate Kansas City. There's arguments for that. There really are. But as someone who loves football, it is neat watching greatness and being able to appreciate it. Because I didn't appreciate it with Brady, and I should have. And I think the reason I'm able to appreciate it more with Mahomes, like, this is my dad's hometown team. And for years, he's like, look, like, I follow the Chiefs, but I don't follow, like, football super well because my team sucks, and we've sucked for a long time. And now that his team is good, he's heavily invested, and seeing my dad, like, really invested in this and, like, happy is super neat, It's infectious. Also, I thought the AFC Championship was great. I was rooting for Buffalo, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I even said to my dad, I was like, look, I got no beef with the Chiefs. I won't be upset if they win. I am pulling for Buffalo. Yes, I think it was Kincaid on that third down. I think he might have gotten it before his knee was down. I thought Allen got it on that sneak. I'm not gonna lie. I will also not lie and say, at least in the sneak, that did not look definitive. The interception that wasn't, it's like the ball hit the ground, but to me, the way it looked, the way I'm remembering it wasn't like, okay, like, because the ball can hit the ground when you're trying to catch it. It's not like, oh, he dropped it, it clearly hit the ground, like, it kind of bounces a little bit, but the way it looked to me was it was still in their arms. Simultaneous possession will always go to the offense. And I think, was it Elam was the defender? Like, I think his arms were on it first, but it did to me look like Worthy kind of had more possession. Like, that makes sense, but I don't know. Like, it's... I get it. There is some questionable shit. I also saw, like, at least one, maybe two clear face masks that Buffalo got away with. I saw an obvious offsides that was somehow called a false start against Kansas City that Buffalo benefited from. Yeah, Kansas City maybe got away with some shit. I think Buffalo did too. And if Kincaid caught that ball that hit him right in the hands, so like, look, and I'm not trying to say, like, this is his fault they lost. It's a team sport. If he catches that ball, maybe we don't have this conversation. Maybe if they didn't keep trying to go for two and not getting it, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. There's a lot of other things that contributed to that game. If on that last play to Pirine, if the defense stopped him and made the Chiefs kick a field goal, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. They weren't bailed out by the refs there. Although, I will say, from what I remember on the Kincaid drop, there was a flag on the field, and it never got revealed what it was, and it was picked up. It was like, that was weird. That was optically very, very weird. It reminds me a lot of that Lions-Cowboys game. Fuck, when was that? That was the week before the Dez caught it game. So that was the Seahawks. That was Seahawks-Patriots. I want to say it was 2013? I have a computer in front of me. I can check. Because now I want to know if I got it right. Anyways, my point is, the last Lions offensive play, there was clear pass interference on Calvin Johnson. There's a flag on the field. And I think it's also like when Dez runs out on the field with his helmet off, and somehow the clear PI on Calvin, that was called, the flag was picked up, and there was no unsportsmanlike on the Cowboys for running onto the field like that. And I was like, it does not look good. That looks really, really bad. I'm going to type in Dez caught it, because Dez caught it year. Thank you. So, Google knows exactly what I need. It was 2015. Okay. January 2015, so that's more like the 2014 season. Okay, that's fine. Anyways, football week, January in review. What a month. At least for me in particular, here is how I can define January. Super productive at the start. Like, I was just knocking shit out of the park. I was listening to all these albums, I was reading some comics, I was doing a fuck ton of writing. And then I was just kind of writing and not doing other stuff, but I still felt productive. And then I kind of blinked and it felt like nothing happened. And like the last week has felt like several weeks. Like I've had, like I said, with just like the recent move, I have felt like I've had some really long days, but the days were also way too short, you know what I mean? It's been an interesting month. But even with some of the stress, I don't think it's been a bad month. So just kind of going over some media categories. Albums, super fucking productive. I listened to all of Queen's studio albums. And while I made my tier list, I was like, yeah, there's some that I think are just kind of okay that I personally am in no real like rush to listen to again. Most of them are fucking great. I had such a good time listening. I just lost the game because that's like my second favorite Queen album. But I thought Queen was fantastic. Biggie is interesting because there's 5 albums. Really only 2 of them count because everything else is more just Biggie and friends because Biggie is gone and using unfinished verses or verses you've already heard before, but now they're remixed with other people. And I don't think they're bad albums. And I feel like a lot of the individual songs can work. And I honestly did enjoy the Duets album with, you know, Faith Evans. But it's not really a Biggie album, you know? But Ready to Die is fantastic. Life After Death, I don't enjoy quite as much, but it's still fantastic. And after Biggie, I listened to The Cure. And I, again, like all the studio albums, I know there's like a lot of EPs, LPs, and all that. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I could probably be convinced to because I really enjoyed The Cure. I made a tier list on that. I don't think I posted it as like a community post. I was supposed to. I could probably do that here in a couple minutes. Short version. Really enjoyed it. Wish is my favorite. From what I understand, Disintegration is the fan favorite, and I get it. That's my second. I guess I'll go and... I'm not going to go over the whole tier list because there's like 14 albums. But to me, it's Wish is at the top. And then my S tiers are Disintegration, 17 Seconds. I love 17 Seconds. I don't know if I said this last week, but like it feels like a Silent Hill soundtrack album, and it's really neat. And what was the last album called? It was like Songs from a Lost Age or of a Lost Age. I think that's what it's called. It's the one that came out in November. I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. The next artist that I will be working on is Linkin Park. Because like Linkin Park is on my list. And like I grew up listening to Linkin Park, which for me means the first 3 albums. I have listened to Hybrid Theory a lot. I have listened to Meteora a lot. I've listened to Minutes to Midnight a lot. I love those 3 albums. I've heard maybe a few songs from other albums. New Divide doesn't count because I don't think it's actually on any of their albums. I think it's just on the Transformers 2 OST, which breaks my heart because I don't know if I can say it's my favorite Linkin Park song, but it might be my favorite Linkin Park song. I call it my beloved New Divide. But I'm not familiar really with the rest of the discography. And from what I understand, it's all like super different. Which even then, I mean, you got Hybrid Theory and then Meteora, which is kind of Hybrid Theory too, but is still doing some experimentation. Like Numb does not necessarily feel like a Hybrid Theory song or Breaking the Habit. Like lyrically, yes, musically, no. And Minutes to Midnight to me is very similar, where it's still lyrically, it's still very angry and very lonely. But it's often more subdued. And I find that really interesting. Like, listen to Hands Held High. This is a very angry song. But it doesn't... I don't want to say it doesn't hit in the way, like, some of the other songs do. Because it does. It's just not presented in the way that some of the other songs are. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to go for. And I will go and say, I did go ahead and listen to those 3 albums over the past couple days, and as far as I'm concerned, they all still hold up. I do think of those 3, Meteora is my double S. Like, I love Meteora. The other 2, I also love. I just think I'm, like, here's the double S, here's the other 2 S tiers. So we'll see what the other 5 are like. I know it's Thousand Suns, One More Light. I know that's not the order, because I think there's 1 or 2 in between, and then there's the new one with the new frontman. I don't remember her name. It's Emily. I believe it's Emily. Like Emily something. I don't know if she's from another band and is also like touring with Linkin Park, or if this is kind of like her first big gig. I think that's going to be really interesting getting to that album. And just like, how is it going to sound musically? Because I know Linkin Park like has changed quite a bit. Like listening to a little bit of Thousand Suns, yeah, this is very different from Minutes to Midnight, which, like I said, is similar but definitely different from how Meteor and Hybrid Theory sound. So I don't know if the new album is going to be more classic Linkin Park, but with a new vocalist, or if it's still going to sound very different. I've heard that One More Light is kind of more like a pop album. I think I've only heard 1 song from it, and it's the title track, which, like, holy shit, what a powerful song. But, especially in light of the circumstances. I'm not trying to do like a whole Linkin Park review right now, but listening to some of the songs in hindsight make them hit a lot harder. Given Up from Minutes to Midnight in particular, where Chester is screaming, "Put me out of my misery," like 3 times, and then it ends with this like really long scream. Like, when I was younger and in high school, I thought that song was dope as hell. And it's like, that's just like, that super like Dragon Ball Z-esque scream. And now I'm like, this actually hurts to listen to. I don't really want to go super deep in talking about like mental health right now. But I will say this. Let the people in your life know how much you love them and that you care about them. Sometimes that's really all you need to see another day. So moving on from music, comics, including graphic novels. I read Seconds. I read it on the plane. I actually got through it pretty quickly. Then when I was done, I started playing Paper Mario. And that. But I liked Seconds quite a bit. I read the first volume of Nas and Zakuro because Zakuro... Where or was it Nas? No, I don't remember. It's the tall one. I think that's Nas and Zakuro's anyway, one of them reminded me of one of my own characters, and I follow the artist because I really like that character's design. I'm like, I want to read this. This was neat. This was fun. This was pleasant. I also read the Incal, and yeah, I really liked the Incal. I would recommend Seconds as well. Like, I just made a video on it. I'm like, yeah, this is really good. Personally, I think I liked the Incal a little bit more. Both are stories that I think I like them on a thematic level more than I like them on just like a plot and character level. But I think the plot and characters work well, and they work fine. But thematically, I'm like, this really resonated with me. This kind of hit me hard. I didn't cry during either of them, which I'm going to be honest, when I understood what Seconds was about, it's like, yeah, this is about a young woman with a lot of regret and trying to undo a lot of her decisions to get the life she always wanted, and shit, kind of starts to pile up and not go that way. I was like, oh, this sounds like something that's going to make me cry, and I really wanted it to. It didn't, but I still think it was really good. Oh, Do I have that written down? Okay, I do have that written down. No, sorry, we're gonna get to something that did make me cry. That's something about comics. Other stuff I did. Zeta. I still haven't watched Double Zeta or Gridman because the Plex is still getting weird. So I'll talk about that in a second. Sorry, I meant to say I'll go and talk about it. I loved Zeta, did the video on it. It's actually doing kind of well. Like, people are watching it and commenting. Thank you, we appreciate this, dope as hell. So for the trip, I had my buddy hook me up with some Gundam shows. I didn't ask him to put Double Zeta on there because I figured Plex was going to be working because he said he was going to tinker with it. Unfortunately, it's still down. But I do have some of those OVAs I wanted to watch. So I'm probably going to start, I don't know when, it might be tomorrow or this weekend, but genuinely soon, just trying to go ahead and go through some of the OVAs. I'll probably check to see if some of these, can I watch this before Double Zeta? I don't have the list in front of me, unfortunately. But it's can I watch this one before Double Zeta? Can I watch this one before Double Zeta? And if it's no, you have to watch Double Zeta first, then okay, I'll have to hold off. If it's nah, you're good, then I will try to watch them. I also had him put Mad Men, on my terabyte. I don't have the whole show, but I think I have most of it. He gave me 4 seasons or 5 seasons, something like that, because that's a big show on the list I'm very interested in watching. So, like I said, I've got a lot of other stuff that I brought too. I brought a couple other physical books, a few games, shows. I'm gonna be, and like I said, I have a lot of people I want to visit. I'm gonna be good for entertainment when I have time. I'm not working. So I don't know when I'm gonna get to things, but I've got a decent amount of stuff. So that's shows and Zeta. I also read Slay the Princess. I still have a video I want to record on it. I have the notes done. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. I'm probably not going to do it right after this. I'm thinking about it. I'm tempted, but I have a couple hours before work, and I think I want to get something to eat before I do. But Slay the Princess is tempting. Anyways, doing the video on it is tempting. Slaying the Princess is not necessarily tempting. Depending on the route. Although I will say, I'm gonna give a quote out of context. It's just without the spoilers. But the line from that game that lives in my head rent-free, aside from some of the recurring ones, the pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you're going to do this right. The line that lives in my head rent-free is, "It's good to be back, boys. Slay the Princess!" Which, in context, is brutal and heartbreaking. It's devastating, but it's so funny to just read it. I laughed really hard. I was I have to pick this option because of how funny it is, how funny the writing of it is, but I am making another save because I don't like the actual option or the implications here, and it gave that ending a really gave that route a very interesting ending. It's my second favorite route in the game. If you know, you know. That was Slay. Talked about Slay. I talked about Orichalcones. Yeah, I finished my draft. I finished what to me is the final draft. I have started sending it out to agents. I've already gotten some rejections. Yay. But sorry. I had said last year, around May, just the point where I said to myself, I want to get my fucking life together. And I'm about to start studying for the bar again, which is part of me getting my life together. I had said, here's what I want to do. I want to revise this book and send it out. And we'll see what happens. If people want it, if I can find an agent who's no, I really like this. I think the premise is good. From reading the opening pages, I can see what you're going for. I think I like this. And then can I get the full manuscript or reads it and goes, yo, this is actually dope. Let's see if we can work together. That'd be fantastic. If it doesn't happen, that sucks. But it doesn't happen. At that point, I do want to publish it online. But I won't publish that one online. There's also the visual novel, which I haven't started working on again. I'm doing that in February, which is almost here. Also, I'll be doing it really, really soon. I think I just kind of want to go through the list of agents I have right now for Orichalcum, and then when that's done, kind of still keep doing agents every now and then, but then focusing on Severance. But to me, it's when Orcal is done, and I've sent it to a bunch of agents, and I kind of run through my list, and Severance is done, then I get to go back to Oro, my beloved. This one's my favorite, and I, as the writer, I probably shouldn't have a favorite, but I miss it. And that's the thing, like, I love Severance. I love working on Severance. And there's times where I'm, like, really passionate, but I don't often feel like, man, I miss it. And Orichalcum is like, there's a lot to do here, and I'm excited to sink my teeth in it, and sometimes I kind of miss it. And Opulent Shoals is something like, I have wanted to work on you again for a long time, but I got a lot of other shit, and I still needed to get your shit figured out, which I did around this time last year, and it was great. It made me really, really excited. I'm like, we're gonna get to you, and I can't wait to get back to you, but we're gonna get to you. And then there's Oro, which is just, I love this thing. I really like this cast and just the way they interact with each other and work off each other. And I'll admit, there have been a lot of times where I've just kind of sat down and like opened up one of the Oro books, because there's 4 of them, and just kind of started reading it. Or just like, yeah, like I want to go through some of my favorite scenes and see some of my favorite lines, because I really like it, and I really liked writing it and tinkering with it, and I miss it. And because Orichalcum, it's like the first book is done, but there's a lot of other shit to go. Oro is done. There's still editing to do. There's gonna be a lot of editing to do. But the story is written. If I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do a web serial, it's like traditional publishing isn't working out. I'm gonna put something online, and like every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever I want the schedule to be, I am going to upload and update this story. To me, Oro makes the most sense because it's the most complete. So, the idea is Orichalcum and agents, and if something happens, great, we pursue that too. But when I've sent it to a bunch of agents and I feel like I've kissed 100 frogs. Sorry, that was a thing from like a thing I did in law school, where this phrase I remember was a guy was talking about, like, this is what you do with jobs, like sending job applications. You just gotta send a bunch out. You know, it's like if you're, trying to make a frog turn into a prince, you don't know which one it is. You gotta kiss 100 frogs. And like, I gotta kiss 100 frogs. And then Severance. At least with the writing, like, production is still kind of underway. Our artist is now available again. We started getting some more sprites, which I enjoy that a lot. But sorry, brain wasn't braining for a second. I will get back to that soon. And then when that's done, it is, let me go over Oro, let me make a few rounds of edits, and then I can start posting it. And then as I'm posting Oro, now I can go back and start working on the next Orichalcum book, which I've done a good chunk of already. Like, depending on how much book 2 covers, it's either like 2/3 of the way done. It's just gonna make edits need to happen, but it's about 2/3 of the way done with its first draft, or it's like not even close. Again, there's a lot of stuff that happens, but also, like, if it's gonna be a web serial, then it doesn't really need to be divided into books. I mean, it still could, but I don't know. I mean, to me, Orichalcum, in my mind, it's not really supposed to be 3 to 4 books. I've always wanted it to be like one tome, and it's an ongoing thing. It kind of like Trails. Like, I guess put it like this: it's like Trails in the Sky is one tome, Crossbell is one tome, Gold Steel is one tome, etc. To me, that's how I've always imagined Orichalcum. But if I were to write it like that, it would be really, really fucking long. But as a web serial, that can work. That can happen. We'll see how that goes. I'm really excited. I'm really happy where I am with it. Really excited to get back into Severance. Can't fucking wait for Oro. Okay, so something I was saying earlier is Second Sin made me cry, and I was hoping it did, but there was something else that made me cry. And I'll go and be honest, this is not something that will show up on the end of year tier list. Just remembered something. I still haven't recorded those. Because here's the thing, like I said, I thought I was going to be leaving like the middle of the month, so I was like, okay, cool, I should do it. But I should do it. Okay, like, I know I kept delaying it, and that's on me, that's my bad. I thought I had time, clearly I didn't. I still want to do these. So either A, I will do them in March, which is way later than I wanted, and I'm sorry for that. I guess there's three options. Number one is I record them in March when I get back. Number two, I see if I can record them here. My laptop does have a webcam. Sorry, I could not remember words. It does have a webcam, and I do have a speaker for work that has a microphone. I could potentially do that and try and like record, like live stream them, which might be fun, like, to do it live. I'd probably try to give a couple test runs just to make sure the equipment works, because I remember when I tried streaming Celeste 64, and boy, that didn't fucking work. But, I will probably, I don't want to say over the weekend, because, like, I know I'm going to be accounted for Saturday, and Sunday is not the Super Bowl, so maybe on Sunday, I can try and do some tinkering and do some tests just to see if this shit works. If it does, I will probably say, fuck it. We will do it just throughout February. Like, hey, I got off kind of early today because I had a hearing. Let me do this. So, like, all right, this weekend day, I'm a little bit free. Let me do this. That's option two. And I'll be honest, that's the most appealing, but it depends if I can get it to work. Option three is I don't record them. I just make them, and I don't think that's anywhere near as fun. It's just not as fun. Like, I still want to at least have the tier list developed, but I would rather just, like, as I'm going, talk about shit, because that's what makes it really entertaining, at least for me. Because I, believe it or not, I am entertained when I record videos. So, we'll tentatively see if I can stream them. So, anyways, sorry, I was talking about, like, tier lists. So, the thing I'm about to talk about would not go on an end-of-year tier list, and here's why. When I make my lists of all, like, the media I consume, the art I experienced, you're going to be on the list if you fall in one of two categories. Number one, this is my first time with this piece of media. It's my first time watching Zeta. It's my first time reading Slay the Princess. Or it's something I am explicitly choosing to reevaluate. Last year, for Lost Christmas, I rewatched Guilty Crown. It was not the first time, but I specifically said, I want to give this another chance. Let's see how it goes. Or playing Thousand Year Door. You make an argument that it's a new experience because it's a remake, it is technically a new game. Or you can make the argument that, well, I just kind of wanted to reevaluate it. It'd be on the list either way. But, like, I played Super Mario 64 last year. Or it was 2023, I don't remember. And I didn't put it on that respective tier list because, like, no, I'm not trying to reevaluate the game. It's not my first time. I just wanted to play it. Some are a little finicky. Like, Kingdom Hearts, I put on the list. It's not up for reevaluation. You know how much I love Kingdom Hearts. But I played it with someone else. And I guess that's kind of another thing. Is I guess the third option is if I'm going through a series, so I'm now evaluating this not at first blush, not just on a redo, but as part of a whole, then it can also be on the list, which is why you'll see Pimp a Butterfly for albums, because while I reevaluated it last year, it was still great. I guess in 2023 and 2024, I listened to it as part of Kendrick's discography. Anyway, sorry, point. To what I'm trying to get to is I rewatched the 3rd season of The Owl House because Jose and I were playing Skullgirls and we just threw it on another monitor because he's like, hey, Owl House season 3 is on YouTube and I haven't seen it. I also haven't really watched The Owl House, but I more or less know what happens. And so most of the first episode we were still playing Skullgirls, so I was like kind of spottily paying attention to it, and every now and then Jose would be like, can you just kind of give me context to what's happening? And then once we get to like the 2nd episode and the 3rd episode, I was basically crying on and off like the whole time. It was really funny because, what day was it? It was like Monday? Yeah, I think it was Monday night. When I was hanging out with Clay and Jose, we were kind of talking about like media that's really affected us and like hit us hard. Jose was talking about a scene from East of Eden that really hit him hard. Clay has been playing Spiritfarer. He just finished it. Like, this is something that really hit me hard. I talked about how, like, I just wept during like the entire 3rd act of The Fall. Love Alternative fucked all of us. And I was like, oh yeah, it's like when I was watching The Owl House the other day, like I was basically crying the entire time, and it was like, you hit it super well. I had no idea. And it was really funny because I was like, oh, I thought it was super obvious. But there's this one scene in particular, and I'm gonna try to talk about it without crying. There's a non-zero chance. It's when Luz is talking to her mom. It's in the 2nd episode. And her mom talks about how, it's like, like, you make mistakes, kiddo. Like, it's what happens. It's called life. I've made a lot of mistakes, too. There was this thing, there was this thing, there was this thing. But the biggest mistake I ever made was trying to change who you are and making you think I didn't love you for who you are. And Luz has this like spiritual awakening, like actually kind of literally, because that's what triggers her powers. But sorry, I'm now spoiling the Owl House season 3, my bad. But what she says to her mom as she's having this like persona awakening is, all I've ever wanted is just to be understood. And it hit me really hard because I very much relate to that. I feel like that's something I've talked about on my channel. I talked about Linkin Park. Like, I'm not going to go into a mental health thing, but I guess in a way I kind of am. Oops. I don't want to go super deep into it, but I guess short version. I have spent a lot of my life trying to tone myself down, try to be like, hey, this is stuff I know I'm really into, and not like degenerate shit. Just like, no, it's like for example, here's a great example. This was in high school. It was in a chemistry class. I'm sitting there, and then there's like some guys next to me, and like they're a group, they seem like they're friends. And they're just kind of saying a bunch of words to each other. And I'm like, indestructible. Inside the fire. Wait. I think they're just like quoting Disturbed songs. I recognize these. I could join this conversation. That's kind of neat. And one of the guys just kind of looks at me and he's like, you have no idea what we're talking about. And I'm thinking to myself, I actually kind of do. I'm like 90% sure I figured it out and I got this and this would be kind of neat. And I didn't say a word because I'm like, I don't know, I just don't want to be wrong, I guess. Or it's like, I don't want to be bothered, or I don't want to seem weird. So no. Which does mean I was sitting there, like, obviously listening to a conversation and not joining it, which is also weird and probably weirder. It's stuff like that where I'm like, this is something I'm really into and would like to like talk about it more. It's like, oh, I can see that these people are like kind of into this thing and not engaging. And I've always hated that. And that's one thing I really like about my channel. Is it's just, let me hit record and let me just be me for a bit. Whether it's 45 plus minutes, shit, like remember when these were being really succinct for a bit? My bad. Or like 10 minutes, like the seconds video is actually really short. I think the in-cal video is like under 20 minutes, or it's like just over. It's really short. I haven't done Product Horizons in a bit. Those are not going to be very short. I assure you, those will be loquacious as hell. But, I don't want to say this. I understand that I am not everybody's cup of tea. And that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly understandable. I know there are probably people who would watch me for 2 minutes and go, no. Like, this guy is annoying. Can you shut the fuck up? Or can you just get to the point? Why have I been here for 46 minutes? Fair. Understandable. But I guess, I don't want to say I don't care, because that's not necessarily true. It's more that I'm just kind of done letting the fear of that get in the way. There was an Almost Friday video last year that I really fucking love. It's the Friend Zone episode. Which, the second it came out, I was like, they did a Friend Zone video. Oh, this is going to be incredible. And, like, it was. But there's also... It's also just, like, really thought-provoking. And there's a lot of things I really liked about it. So, you know, thinking, like, there's no love without friendship. Yeah, sorry, I was like, did I say that backwards? No, I didn't say that backwards. You're saying, like, the friend zone's not really a thing. It's just kind of how you perceive it. And, like, you know, like, a lot of different interesting relationship shit. But what I want to focus on now is that one particular line. Your fear of rejection outweighs your fear of being alone. And I'm kind of sick of that for me. That's why I'm not as bothered now when I send out a query letter and it gets rejected. It sucks. I'd rather it not happen. But I'm like, you know, it is what it is. It sucks. But I'm gonna pursue this avenue. And if there's a point where it doesn't work out and it is clear that, hey, like, you've exhausted a long list and no one's taking it, all right, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna go as we go. It's like, yeah, like, people might not watch my videos. A lot of them don't get a lot of views. But I'm still enjoying them. I'm still having fun doing this. And I don't really intend to stop. So, that's neat, I guess. I am still happy with the fact that I didn't miss a week last year. Again, they weren't always on Thursdays, but I made one of these every week. So far, haven't missed one in January either. I guess haven't missed one in 2025 either. I have a perfect January record. We'll see what happens in February. But, yeah, and if you do watch my videos, or you, like, leave likes and leave comments, I guess unless it's like a fuck you, you're a piece of shit comment, but like something that shows that you genuinely watched, I do really appreciate it. Thank you. I guess looking ahead to February, double Zeta if I can get Plex to work. If not, I do want to watch some of the Gundam OVAs that don't inherently spoil Zeta or need Zeta to be understood, and trying to watch Mad Men. In terms of games, I did start Torna last year in January, but I didn't get super far, and now that it was on Clay's Switch, so I can't continue it until March. So, yeah, it sucks. But I started Thousand Year Door on the plane. I'm now in Bogley Woods. It felt like I got through Chapter 1, like, really quick. So, that's going to be a big project. I'm so fucking excited to finally play Thousand Year Door. I brought Raincoat because I've been meaning to play Raincoat for a long time. On my PC, I got Fate Samurai Remnant, which I've been wanting to play for a while. It was on sale. I did get Kai. I really want to play Kai, and I want to do the translation thing, but I'm also like, I've got other things I brought with me, and I know if I start playing Kai, I'm going to do nothing else. So, I don't want to say, let me do all this other shit and Kai is my reward, but it's more of, hey, do a bunch of other stuff, then do the thing that's a major time sink. I brought Celeste. Just in case. Because February does seem like it's going to be a very long month. It looks like there's definitely going to be some stressful days, some stressful work stuff. That's the nature of the beast. C'est la vie. Okay, c'est la vie that's life. What's the French for that's being a lawyer? I don't know. C'est attorney. I don't know what French for attorney is. But that's kind of what I signed up for, I suppose. And Celeste is again, it's not my comfort food. That's like playing Pokemon. But it is my coping mechanism. I find it really helps if I'm at a point in my life where I'm just stressed or overwhelmed or just feel like shit. Playing Celeste helps. And I genuinely hope I don't have to boot it up. But it's there if I need it. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So some of the books that I brought, again, I'm not including Seconds as graphic novel, I'm including like that as a comic. I brought that Twilight gender swap book that I said I was going to read for several months and didn't. But I might soon. We'll see. I also brought The Name of the Winds. I don't know if I will start that. I would do the Twilight book first because it's like a one-shot read. I still need to start Project Horizons again. I should. I will say this. When it comes to Project Horizons, I want to finish it by mid-August. Very specifically, because that will mark the 10-year anniversary of when it finished. I don't remember the exact date. I know it was the Friday of my first week of law school, which was, I think, like the week after my birthday. Okay, hold up. I think it's August 28th. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's 8/28. So I want to finish the remaining 4 volumes by the 28th of August. So February, March, April, May. If I do one a month, which is doable, theoretically, I could. Do I have to? It's like, I don't know. Like, I love Horizons and I hate Horizons. If you've watched any of those videos, you get the idea. I know I'm gonna, and I know in my own way I kind of have to. But I guess it's kind of like Kai, where I'm like, it's a big project, and it's, no pun intended, and a big time sink. I feel like I kind of want to get some other stuff cleared. Like, maybe read some other books, read some more comics, play a few games. Like, all right, especially albums, because I'm going to listen to it as an audiobook. And it's like, I could listen to an album right now, or I could listen to Horizons. And honestly, given how long Horizons chapters are, I could listen to like 2 albums, maybe 3, or a chapter of Horizons. That's how long it is. I feel like for me, it's maybe get through another few artists. I don't know if I'm not going to do my entire artist list because it's massive, but I believe I had said previously I've got high interest, medium interest, and low interest in every category. Most of my high interest comics are done. I've got like 3 that I just want to catch up on. I think that's Nana, Frieren, and Chainsaw Man. And then I want to read Dora Hedoro, I might be saying the name wrong, my bad, and Berserk at some point, because I've never read Berserk. But most of my high-interest comics are done, so I can take a bit of a break on those. The high-interest books are basically Horizons, Ward, but Ward is going to be after Horizons, and then I think like East of Eden, the Twilight book. I don't know if I have Name in the Wind in high interest or not. But when I look at artists, I think I've got like 9 or 10 in high interest left. If I can get through all of them and then say, okay, it's Horizons, it's Blackjack time, I might do that, or I might alternate, or it's like, this is a month where I listen to albums. Now in February, like I'll finish Linkin Park, but then this is a Horizons month. We'll see how that feels. If that feels right, then we'll do it. If not, then we won't. Like I said, I hope if the tech will work right, I can start recording those tier lists finally. Maybe I can just stream them and be like, all right, guys, it's Friday evening. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here. Well, not here. Like, I'm in a hotel right now, but I'm going to be in an apartment in like a few days. It's like, I am now here. I am settled. I'm going to talk about... I don't know. I'm going to... Like, all right, this is what I'm going to do on this Friday night. I'm going to talk about all the movies I watched in 2024 and why Shin Godzilla... No, not Shin Godzilla. We didn't actually watch Shin Godzilla. I meant to say -1. Why -1 is a phenomenal movie. One of the best movies I watched this year. But it ain't House. Gosh, I loved House. It's already talked ad nauseum about writing. It's like, yeah, agent stuff, working on Severance, and when I get done with Severance, I might start Oro this month, which would be dope as shit. And then in terms of albums, Linkin Park, and that's where that is. So that's my week. January, February. Hope you had a good January. Hope you had a good week. Hope you have a fantastic February.